Welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders set of 6. This is our weekly news show where we share the good, the great and the newsworthy of Rugby League outside the heartlands. My name's Craig.
My name's Karl, and this week's show we're going to be talking about some breaking news about the French division possibly merging with the Championship. As always, we'll have a wheelchair Super League update, and we're going to be talking about the Dream Team and who's in and who's out.
Yeah, it's an interesting week. There's lots of news. I mean, we make this mistake every year where it's like, okay, yeah, things will start calming down now. And this part of the year, things just ramp up, getting ready for the next season, finals, playoffs, all sorts of stuff going on across all forms of rugby league. So lots of stories this week, Cal.
Yeah, and aside our set of 6, we've also got some interviews that we're going to drop into the show, and we're going to be talking about 85 kilo rugby league, which is something I'd never heard of, but you've dug it out, so we'll get into the debate with Williams Weekly.
Yeah, well, that's rugby union, that is, but I think it's a great idea for anyway, so more on that in a bit. Okay, last week was officially the end of the regular season for Super League. All right, that means that we can start formulating the dream team. We can see so many different things as the season comes to an end. I'm going to start tackle one. We're going to talk about the dream team.
We'll go through the dream team and we'll throw in a few names that we think missed out. So yeah, the Super League Dream Team has been announced. It's up on your screen at the moment. So Matt Duffy at fullback, Matty Ashton on the wing, Nenny McDonald and Jake Wardle make up the centres with Liam Marshall on the other wing. The halfbacks, they went for Mikey Lewis and Mark Sneed. Matty Lees from St Helens at prop, Danny Walker, Luke Thompson at the other prop, and then you got Reece Martin, the only player who's not in the playoffs, from Leeds, Junior and Samba from Wigan, and Elliot Minchella as the loose forward. Now, Craig, when this team was announced, what did you think of it?
Okay, the first thing that stood out to me was the halfback combination. I know you want to talk about that as well.
Yeah,
so
I'm
not going to go into that too much. But another thing that stood out, like Matty Lees, Luke Thompson. I don't know if they're the best performing front rowers in the country right now. I'm stuck on that one. I'd love to see a breakdown of the stats, and I'm sure they do lots of. I mean, Luke Thompson, and we all know he runs like an absolute Exocet missile, doesn't he? But I don't think he's been the best.
I think Luke Thompson has had a good season, but
I'm not saying that in a good season.
He's probably not been up to the standards, his NRL standards, I think is how you would put it. I do think he's had a good season though. I first, when I saw this, I thought they've pretty much got that bang on, really. I don't think there's many players that I could argue with. The Matty Lees, maybe, from St Helens, not too sure about. I haven't watched loads of St Helens games this season, for obvious reason. They haven't been the best performing team. They haven't held my attention. But I think most of the team's pretty solid. I certainly couldn't disagree with Ashton, Wardle, Marshall, all been awesome seasons, aren't they? You got the halfback one's the interesting one, Mark Sneed and Mikey Lewis. Now, Mikey Lewis, definitely, I think he's had a great season, so he's got to be in there. Mark Sneed, he has an awesome season, but I don't know, like it's difficult to miss French out, and it's difficult to miss Williams out.
But they're not sevens, are they?
6, 7.
I know they're the same, but I think when you got to boil this down, you've got to look at the numbers. You're comparing. So, for example, a fullback against a fullback.
Halfbacks are just a number on your shirt, really. A 6 and a 7 are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, we know
that. They are for some teams, because some teams just split the field and one operates the left-hand side of the field, one operates the right. Other teams, they play it more like a traditional 6 and 7. But
we know that's how it's played. But what I'm saying for the dream team, you've got 1 to 13.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can't put like an 11. You know what I mean?
No, but you could pick Mikey Lewis at, I suppose.
No, you can't. It's got to be the number. It's got to be the number, hasn't it? So
what you're saying is Bevan French, because he plays standoff.
Yeah, because he's number 6. I think if he played 7, he'd be in this. He'd be in this thing. But he only plays 6, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I genuinely think if Bevan French was played in shirt number 7, he would have got in here. I don't think Harry Smith makes it because he's had some disciplinary errors this year. He's let himself down a little bit. I don't think the Harry Smith elbow has done him any favours. And I think, like, you compare Mark Sneed's conversion kicking, I think that's why he's in this dream team. But he's very close, those halfback pairings.
But you could also argue that Wigan have been the best team this year, and the halfbacks, they play such a big part in a team being the best team, and Harry Smith led them around the field. I'm not taking anything away from Mark Sneed. I think Mark Sneed's had a great season, but there's definitely options there, isn't there? Definitely options.
You wouldn't have predicted him, would you? You wouldn't have chosen him.
No, I wouldn't. No.
I think that's why Bevan French is not in there. But what is interesting is we know George Williams wears shirt number 7. So are we saying that Mark Sneed has had a better season than George Williams, and therefore should he be picked for the England team?
I think George Williams has nailed on for that this year. I think George Williams has had an incredible season.
Yeah, I do, and I think his first choice, I think he's England captain, his first choice for that shirt number in England. But based on the Dream Team selections, should Mark Sneed be considered for that?
Yeah, should Mark Sneed be getting an England call up? Because he's not in the England lineup, is he? He's not been shortlisted, so it's interesting that I suppose it's different people's opinions, isn't it? So Sean Wayne's got some difficult choices to make, but anyway, we'll look at a few.
I don't think Sean Wayne has got a difficult choice. I think he's absolutely blinkered on George Williams. He's loyal to him. He's brought him up as a kid. You know what I mean? Playing at Wigan, he's not looking elsewhere. He's 100% nailed his colours to the mast in regards to George Williams.
Yeah, right. Let's go into a bit more. Lee Leopards. No player from Lee Leopards made that dream team. Could you make a case for some of them? Josh Charnley.
Josh Charnley, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Tom Amon at 8 instead of Matty Lees.
Possibly.
Not possibly. I think I'd make that call.
Yeah. Kai O'Donnell. I think he's had a fucking belting season.
Yes.
So yeah, but you compare him to, like, you didn't get in the second row when he's looked. You look at like Reece Martin Jr. and Semba, like. No second rows are getting in there. Like.
Yeah, no, you're right there.
Because this is what you got to do, and you got to compare that number to other players.
Yeah, okay. So you could look at the fullback as well, Matt Duffy or Jai Field.
Matt Duffy's been brilliant.
Yeah, he has been brilliant. I'm just throwing names out there.
I know. It's a hard choice, and I wouldn't like to be the one that kind of
Field has had a bit of a layoff, hasn't he, with injuries actually. So I think Duffy's the right call. So as I said at the start, I think it's pretty much correct. There's just a couple of changes I would have made.
Yeah, definitely. Run through the net. Danny Walker has been brilliant. It's been brilliant watching him.
NRL bound by the sounds of it now.
Yeah, develop over the years. Best British hooker in the game right now. I don't know. There's got to be a case for Jez Litton, perhaps. Matt Parcell has just had a belting. You see that ball he threw at the weekend.
Very, very good season.
Incredible.
It's pretty solid, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty nailed, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd love to see that team go up against an international side, wouldn't you? I know it's not like all English players, but that is a great 13 players. That is.
Yeah, it is. But who would you have coaching that group?
Ooh,
that's a good question, isn't it?
So who's the coach of the year then? Right,
you're turning these 6 tackles into a bloody 10 tackle. Mega C.
Do you know just because Burgess has had a good season, I'll just have Burgess coaching it?
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if there's you're right. If there's a coach that could bring that mismatch of players from different teams together in a unified goal, you'd say Burgess or Paul Rowley, wouldn't you? Because he just does that, doesn't he? He just gets all your misfits, throws them into a team, and just does
pretty
great
harsh
stuff.
Calling it Dream Team a bunch of misfits.
Anyway, you know what I mean.
I think we move on.
Yeah. Okay. Before that, you had some of the people that perhaps narrowly missed out. I mean, do you want to pull a few of them out?
Well, I spoke about most of them.
I'll tell you one on that list that
Cade Ellis can't have been fat, but he was never going to get in over Elliot Minchella.
No. One there that really sticks out. I'd cast your mind back to the start of the season, right? There was a player on that list that had an absolute shitter at the start of the seazen, right? Peter Hiku.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when he was playing at the start at fullback and he was having a dire start to the season? And now he player of the match last week. Incredible finish to the season.
Yeah, his season is
transformed.
Transformed. He's got stronger and stronger all year. But you still you've called him out again, but you still can't put him in that team.
Oh no.
So. Like
I'm just saying, these are players that have like been outstanding all year. So
yeah.
All right, okay. So we're going to move on then to tackle 2. And Leeds they've completed a perfect season. They've won every game in the Wheelchair Super League, and now we're going to head over and check in with John Seeger for our regular update of wheelchair news.
So we finished here at the Leisure Centre here in Leeds. Finished Leeds Rhinos 46, Wigan Warriors 36. Therefore, the Leeds Rhinos go through the season unbeaten, and it's repeated again next week in one of the Betfred Wheelchair Playoff semi-finals. Very tense game from all the way straight from the first kick-off to the last 20 minutes of the game. It was 18-0 at half-time, and Nathan Collins and Matt Woolworth doing fantastic performances for both sides. Going into half-time, it was 18-0. Second half, same again, it was 36-36 with just 10 minutes to go, and then 2 late tries from Josh Butler give the Rhinos a victory. I spoke to himself and James Simpson after the game for their thoughts. So I'm here with James Simpson, fantastic 46-36 win today. You're unbeaten for the season, congratulations. That was very hard though.
Yeah, thanks mate, yeah, 8 out of 8. It's good to finish in Leeds, we had a decent crowd in, so a good atmosphere. It's always been special being back at home and having a good game. Yeah, really close game mate, but do you know what, that's one of the best games I've been a part of for probably this year. Do you know, Wigan, Leeds, 2 big Super League clubs, 2 big clubs in the game, both play Wheelchair Rugby League in the style it should be played. Do you know, shipping the ball around, a lot of line breaks. Mate, it was a fantastic game, but yeah, I think the score reflects how close this season's been for a lot of teams. You know, less teams, the competitiveness has gone up, and yeah, I'm just really chuffed with the win, mate.
We said we were going to prepare for the semi-final because we expected to play Wigan with the table, so we were very much playing with plans for next week for ahead. So it was more about looking at the shapes we can play and not showing everything at the minute. So it were definitely hard. Well, Becky had to come on for Moal. Ewan were on and off, so we were trying to just work different combinations, and things didn't go our way, but we'll keep throwing those balls and it'll come off like once out of 10. So it is what it is.
It made you work hard for it today.
I thought they just played really well. They were a really good team, they played really well. Thought we played well, mate. Yeah, they made us work hard, but it was just a really good game, mate. All the cliches you can think of, throw them in the mix, because they had everything. It was a really good game.
And luckily, a mistake from Wigan gave you the game.
Well, I don't know if it gave us the game. You know, like we all made errors at points. We had a bit of a lead going into that before that error, so we just took our opportunities. And I thought they were brilliant. I thought everything was fantastic. I thought the officials were banging as well, mate. They were really good. Yeah, it's been a really good game.
And what a way to win it at the end. Capitalise on a mistake. You got to be there at the right moment, and you were today.
Yeah, the ball just popped up in front of me, and I just took it. Refs never called time off, so I just push and score. Play to the whistle.
Was this the hardest season so far for you, especially going unbeaten for this season? Given the quality of the season, was this the hardest you've had to go unbeaten?
It's been tricky. It's been tough, but it depends what you are judging as success. I mean, you could technically win one game and make the playoffs. It's a bit strange that the top 4 out of 5 go into the playoffs. So for us wanting to go for league leaders, yeah, it's been an incredibly tough year. But if a team just wanted to scrape in the playoffs, it's kind of a different measure. You could be like, oh, we'll win one game and we're all right. But mate, no, it's been a tough season. It's been competitive, and the players have found it competitive out there when they're going out there to win and they want to give everything their all.
So you're unbeaten for the season. Is this the hardest season you've played so far?
Definitely. I'd say every game we've played, we haven't won comfortably at all games. So we've been pushed until the very last minute. Sometimes we've been behind and scored in the last play. I know we've had at least 2 games that have been decided in the last play of the game, but everyone's been close. And I think they said there's only been 6 games that have been decided by more than 3 tries.
That's
I think
right,
it is.
yeah.
So it's definitely the most competitive league we've had, which is what we want. It sets you up well for the end of the year.
And sets up nicely for next week for your home semi-final.
Probably against Wigan, I think, as well.
It will be, yes.
Wigan might have been like really tactical here and purposely done something, but no, it was a good game.
Good home crowd as well.
It was good, mate, and hopefully next Saturday we're getting an even bigger one. It's an evening game as well, so hopefully we can get people in before they go out for a few drinks.
And sets up well for next week for your home game against Wigan in the semi-finals.
Yeah, definitely. Normally in the past we've had games where they've been really close and we've just fallen apart and cracked under pressure, but I think every game being as close as it has been definitely helps us out a little bit more, so we know that we have that little bit more resilience about us that we haven't had in previous years. So I'm confident. We look forward to next week.
So therefore, we have our semi-finals for the Betfred Wheelchair Super League playoffs. It's Leeds Rhinos against Wigan Warriors here next week, and in the other semi-final, it's the Halifax Panthers against the London Roosters.
Thanks always, John. If you want to learn more and get some extended highlights for Wheelchair Rugby League, it's a really exciting game. Go and check it out with John Seeger. Just search John Seeger on YouTube, and you find those. Well done, John, for doing that, and thanks again. All right, moving on to tackle 3 then, Karl, and you've got some interesting League One news for next year.
Well, this isn't breaking news as such, but Gull Vikings have been the side that have been selected to be put into League One next year over Anglian Vipers and Bedford Tigers, both two sides that we spoke to outside the heartland. So on the surface of it, Craig, it seems like they've gone for the safe option.
Well, I mean, I'd love to know what the criteria, and I know the RFL announced that they were the stronger of all the contenders, but I'd love them to break that down a little bit and just sort of say why they were stronger. You know, what aspects of the club were strongest. You know what I mean? So that other teams, you know, the day comes where they're bidding to get into League One, and I know lots of clubs have aspirations of moving up the ranks. They've got something to kind of aim for. You know what I mean? I'd love to know what that criteria was, because it's not clear at the minute, is it?
No, but I think that'll always stay behind closed doors. I think that's the thing whenever anybody's sort of piping up on social media and they're taking a hit at the RFL, going, oh, you've just gone for the safe option like I just did then. But yeah, we don't know the criteria. We don't know the ins and outs of it all, do we? Don't know why a team hasn't been picked. Look, we're both big fans of expansion, aren't we? I would love to have seen Bedford or Anglian Vipers. Bedford seemed like an incredibly strong
prospect for League One. Yeah.
Option, yeah. I did speak to Rob Ashton though after sort of the news came out, because there is rumours knocking about.
We love a rumour.
Yeah, we've got to address the rumours. So the rumour is that Eric Perez, I think he's the chairman of Cornwall, formerly Toronto Wolfpack. If the rumours are to be believed, he's looking at transferring his licence.
Has it not been confirmed that the licence is available for purchase? He's made that available for transfer, hasn't he?
Yes, something like that.
Right, I mean, so that's the fact.
There's no word from Bedford Tigers, by the way.
No,
I'm not making stuff up here, but yeah.
No, but what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to ascertain the
facts, yeah.
What is true? So the truth is that licence is available.
I mean, we haven't heard it directly from the horse's mouth, but a lot of media sources that is what they're saying. Yes, the licence could well be coming available.
And the next bit then is that there are rumours that licence may be purchased by Bedford or
whoever. All I can tell you about Bedford is they have said that if a place does come up in the League One, they're ready to go.
Right.
That's the word from them. They're ready to go. They believe they've got the house in order. Whether a licence comes up or not, we've no clue. I do think though, just sort of talking about if that Cornwall licence is becoming available, I think it's a dying shame, because Cornwall have done some incredible things in League One. I mean, they get great crowds. They regularly push 1,000 supporters, and that's higher than a lot of League One clubs that are right in the middle of the heartlands. It'd be a shame to see Cornwall go.
Yeah, it would, and I'm pretty sure. Besides the fact that it's a lot of travel, I'm sure a lot of clubs like the prospect of playing in Cornwall and make a weekend of it. You know what I mean, and head down there to a beautiful part of the country, somewhere that they didn't think rugby league would ever take them. So yeah, it is a shame. It's a shame for the fans. Perhaps looking at like what pros, what are the good things that come out of it? You could reduce the amount of travel that they've got to do in League One. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, so let's keep an eye on that and see what happens.
Yeah, I think there is big issues in League One with travel, but it could be getting even further when we discuss our next story.
Yes, Karl, just interested. What do you know about Gull Vikings?
I don't know too much about them, to be honest with you. They were formed in 2018. They're playing the Yorkshire Division, not far from Hull. They've got junior teams. That's as much as I honestly know about them, to be fair. Before
we move on to our next tackle, I just want to make a couple of announcements. The first announcement I want to make, we've got a little bit of an interview. We spoke just introduced to Danika Priim before we came on air. She's just been announced as the vice president of the RFL, which is a great position for anybody to take on. The fact that it's a woman with international honours on her CV is phenomenal. So we checked in with her to get her take on it. Danika, you must be quite excited about the new role that you've picked up. Can you just tell us a little bit about what it's going to entail? And was this something that's come out of the blue, or have you been chipping away at this for a while?
No, it was completely out of the blue. Tony Sutton approached me quite a few weeks ago now, and just, it's gone to the council, RFL council panel, but just that I was in the running for it. Would I be interested if I was put forward? Because obviously it goes to a vote, and obviously I think it was quite a shock. And first of all, I was like, I don't know, something that I'd want to accept or not, just because it's such a huge role, it's such a huge honour, and obviously I was a bit concerned about the conflict of interest with my broadcasting and all the other stuff I do. But ultimately it's an honorary role with Adam Hills, who's a very good friend of mine as the president, and with Steve as well from Swinton Lions. And generally it goes to, like the oldest serving member of like the RFL in terms of to Steve at Swinton. But they wanted to add something a bit different this year, which is a huge honour for me. But ultimately it's kind of a role that we support the RFL and we support what they do, but we kind of pick and choose as to how much we do and what we do and where we support. And obviously with myself and Adam, with the PDRL and the women's game and all of that that's coming, it's huge for us to make sure that that's well supported. We're all about community clubs and grassroots, so we want to get around. Adam and I have already spoken about really supporting the grassroots and the community clubs and building from the bottom upwards and making sure that we get around and do what we can to... I don't really know in terms of what we can or can't do yet, but definitely about being a presence and trying to get around and seeing what's going on is definitely our first port of call, which will be amazing. But other than that, I'm not. We haven't sat down and had the full conversation yet, so kind of a little bit of a mystery, but still a huge honour to be a part of such a big establishment. And ultimately, I'm still a fangirl, which is crazy. So it's a process. That's what we should call it.
Yeah, I mean, you're placing yourself in a very prestigious group of women there. You're the fourth woman to take this role on, aren't you, I believe? Kath Hetherington, Claire Balding and Sue Taylor have all done it before. You've got to be immensely proud. Yeah,
well, particularly with Claire Balding, we all know how phenomenal she is for sport. And Kath, I've worked really closely with her at Leeds Rhinos, being the husband of the wife, of Gary.
Yeah.
And she's somebody who is probably the most strong-minded and honest woman that I've ever been in the presence of. So she's amazing, but I'm the first international female, being at Rugby League playing international female, to be on that list. So regardless of who's been on before or how many women, it's just a massive honour anyway. Like I said, I've been a fan for my whole life, which is why I love being involved in Rugby League anyway, and just to even be considered as part of it is amazing. The lineup of women beforehand makes it even better, and to be that first international is, yeah, it's such a proud moment. It's huge. I can't stop smiling, if I'm honest.
and just another sort of cheeky question, really, but obviously you get to work closely with Adam. You said that you knew him of old. So how excited are you to work a little bit closer with him?
Oh, honestly, he's one of the greatest people I've ever met, and thanks to Channel 4 and the broadcasting we did together there, we've become really good friends, and also just with, not just with him, but his family and stuff as well. So it's amazing, and he's just such an awesome human being. Like, he is desperate to promote the sport, regardless of what element of it is, men's, women's, wheelchair, PDRL. He just wants Rugby League to grow. He's a huge Rabbitohs fan, which is the only bone of contention we have because I'm a Sydney Roosters. So I once lost a bet to him and had to wear some Rabbitohs socks on air, but managed to get away with it, not being seen too much. But he's just such an awesome human being that just adores sport and making it accessible to all. So it's really cool to kind of link back up with him. We chat anyway, but it kind of means that we are kind of forced to work a little bit closer again, which is wicked.
Danika, this is going to sound a little bit like a bit of an interview question, but if I was to say to you, what can you bring to this role? What would be your biggest strength that you're going to bring to this new role?
I think just my passion for rugby league. I think I love watching rugby league, if it's the under 14s girls or if it's Wigan Warriors in the grand final. I think I just I want rugby league to succeed. I want to do what's best for the sport. I think it's amazing. It's changed my whole life. Like, ultimately, I know it sounds really cliche, but had I not picked up the ball, in 2015 when I got that call, none of this would have ever happened. It has completely and utterly changed my life. I've changed my career. I've changed everything that I do. So I'm immensely indebted to rugby league. So anything I can do to promote it, and I do a lot of stuff now in the corporate world. So if I can get somebody to invest in the sport, or any endorsements, any sponsorships, any little bit of, support that the sport can get, then I think that's where, I can walk into a room and I can naturally talk about it. And I think that sells the sport. I don't have to have an agenda. I don't have to force myself to do that. So it's kind of using my connections and my passion to hopefully help investment and help, therefore, it grow at any level.
Danika, if we could just sort of switch a little bit now and look at the Women's Super League. Obviously, Leeds narrowly missed out against York at the weekend. Was you at the game, was you? Did you see any of that?
Well, I was covering the game for Sky Sports from St Helens, but we got to watch the Leeds game. And obviously, I'm gutted for the girls. I'm a Leeds girl through and through. Cut me like a stick of rock, and it says Leeds Rhinos. But ultimately, the best team won. Leeds just didn't come out of the blocks quick enough. York were on fire in that first half. Look, they went to video ref 3 times as well. So the score really, was in favour of Leeds in the sense that York could have been much further on by half time. I'm gutted for the girls. I know there's a lot of girls moving on. There's a few girls retiring and stepping down and going on to new things. So it's not the way that Leeds would have wanted to bow out, and I certainly not for some of the girls that I've played alongside. But the nature of the beast, and York were just outstanding, and I think they continue that run defensively. They'll put on a really good fight against St Helens, which again, the Saints-Wigan game, nobody expected Wigan to put up a fight that they did, and I think Saints are a bit shell-shocked. An absolutely awesome weekend of playoffs and 4 teams that really fought out to the very end.
Looking at the final then, Saints, obviously they've been the sort of trailblazers this year, probably the strongest side, Challenge Cup winners. York are the current Super League champions. I know they've had a little bit more of a difficult season. Who do you really think's going to come out on top in the final, if you're allowed to give me an answer?
If you'd have asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have said St Helens hands down without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. And they have the bonus that it's at the Totally Wicked Stadium, because that was always the rule that whoever finished top of the league, that would be where the grand final was held. So even if Saints didn't make it through yesterday, they still would have been held there. But being there for them is going to be a bonus in terms of familiarity. However, I think the adversity that York have struggled with, and the injuries, the illnesses, the losses they've had, I think they're missing like 7 or 8 of their starting 13 at the minute, which is just insane. And to put on a performance like they have done in the past 3 weeks is amazing. So I as much as statistically I should say St Helens, I really don't think you can write off York, and York will go into this heavy underdogs. But that's where Lindsay Armfield will prefer to be. And it just means that, they weren't thinking about the grand final before yesterday's game. They were thinking week by week. And I don't think Saints could have helped not thinking about that treble coming up against probably the slightly easier of the semi-final in Wigan. So just in terms of regrouping and gathering, St Helens have also got a lot coming up in the next 2 weeks, with Matty Smith being nominated for Coach of the Year, Faye Gaskin nominated for Woman of Steel, so a big award ceremony coming up. And then that grand final and the pressure with it being at Totally Wicked could be the deciding factor. I think Saints didn't start strong enough yesterday against Wigan, and they were shell-shocked a little bit. So if York can come out firing in that first 20 minutes and put it to Saints and, maybe even get the first score, then it could be a York win. And it's really hard to call, and I know it should be a really simple answer, and I've given you a long-winded one. I'm gonna say York for the win.
All right.
We're the first ever team to do back-to-back grand final wins.
Yeah, I mean, it's there on the table for a minute. Danika, listen, thanks a lot for taking the time to speak to us. That was really insightful on, both the new role and the Women's Super League at the moment. I want to wish you, the best of luck in this new role, and also thank you for it. We need strong people, strong, passionate people in the game at the forefront, leading it. So thanks from us, and also probably from the wider audience of the sport.
No, thank you. No, thanks for this. Like any time, but I massively hope that I know that in 2 years' time we can't make a huge difference, but if we can make a big dent and just make people feel supported and more valued in the sport, then that's the job done, isn't it?
Yeah, superb. Thank you very much, Danika. I'd love to keep in touch with you as the role progresses, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, got my number anytime. Just drop me a message.
Smashing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danika. Take care.
Have a good.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Take care.
Carl, quickly, what your thoughts on that? Good move for the RFL.
Really good move for the RFL. That, like I said, a woman with great international honours, linked very closely with Adam Hills, who she's a friend of. Who, you know, Adam Hills is going to be the president of the RFL. So that link is great, and she's just somebody that's really passionate about the game. We've met Danika a couple of times. She loves the game in all formats, and that's what I took away from the interview. And I think this is a really smart move by the RFL, and I think she will be an absolute success at it.
Okay, staying with the RFL, another announcement then. I'm just going to drag my phone up, so apologies for that. Is the shortlist for the Community Volunteer Awards was announced, okay, last week. And there's a few people on there that we know, and we just want to do a bit of a public shout out to, you know, get them, put their case across a little bit, but also to wish them the best of luck. A couple of people that were picked out. So for Volunteer of the Year, we actually know 2 of the 3 nominees there. So Rob Ashton, we've already spoke about, Bedford Tigers.
Yes.
Doesn't just do Bedford Tigers, has a lot to do
mate.
in rugby, in university rugby league as well.
Yeah, but he's involved in Cambridge University, does loads of work with them. I think he pretty much helps run the East of England division, right down to ordering the trophies, helping the division structure. Obviously, he's involved with Bedford, his own team. He's a great character in rugby league, and somebody we haven't known him very long, but anybody I speak to about Rob, you know, just says the guy works tirelessly for rugby league.
Yeah, next one is Phil Abbott.
Yeah, Bassett Law Bulldogs, arguably one of the most successful junior clubs in the country, and they just grow year on year on year. Like, there's just hundreds of kids involved in that club, and they're every sort of level. They've got a masters team, they've got junior age groups running throughout the whole club. He chairs the Midlands. I think he chairs the Midlands Junior League, or the body that helps, you know, sort it out. I think he's brought in sponsorship this year for the Midlands League. Just a great guy again, somebody who just works tirelessly.
Okay, moving on then. So for Coach of the Year, former teammate of ours is Nathan Parker at Telford Raiders, been nominated for Coach of the Year as well, having won. Inverted commas, but you know they've got the medals, got the trophy. The Harry Jepson this year. Yeah,
so first year coaching for Nathan, he's always been a formidable player, and a player that a lot of teams have often feared. He's been a great forward for Telford Raiders for a number of years. Come right up through the juniors, and now he's running the team, and what a great season. You know, he's won the league on his first season. Yes, so good luck to Nathan Parker with the community award.
Also up for Coach of the Year is Colin Baker from London Broncos Ladies. Now, we spoke to him in the past as well.
Yeah, and Colin's had another great season with the London Broncos Ladies. They've just won the Southern competition, and they're actually in with a chance of Super League. They've got to play the Northern counterparts later on. And picked up a great win over Cardiff Demons, another club who's been doing great things this year. So, yeah, I know Colin, everybody at the London Broncos club speaks so highly of Colin. Another one who just volunteered, but he just puts in loads of work behind the scenes. Thought very highly of, so, yeah, all the best to him as well.
Next one, a little bit of a family connection for me. So, Jason Greenwood McDonald has been nominated as Grounds Person of the Year, along with a couple of other people. Now, Jason is my cousin, my eldest cousin, and in our family, I mean, Mum's side, there wasn't many people that played rugby, really. Okay, Jason was the first, you know what I mean? And I always saw him as like, I remember him coming in with his muddy boots, a bit of a black hat. Yeah, a bit of a trailblazer, and definitely a reason why I kind of started playing rugby. So, to see that he's up for Grounds Person of the Year. Grounds people don't get enough recognition. In fact, the opposite. They get slated, don't they?
Especially if you're on the Sky Sports team and your name's John Wilkin, yeah?
Yeah, and obviously they're exactly the kind of people that, like, rugby league doesn't exist unless there's someone sorting the pitches out, sorting the grounds out, marking the pitches. You know all about that, Carl, and...
Do I?
Yeah, I do. I thought you was like... Remember when...
Since when was I? Oh, but yes, I forgot about that.
Derby, you had to sort out the white lines on a pitch, didn't you?
Yeah, I was when I was with Hurricanes. We had a fixture at Derby, and we had to green out the bloody lines, and didn't realise at that point that job role, I think it was part of mine.
Well, Karl, I mean, how stressful was that day? And can you imagine then the amount of stress and worry that these grounds people take from the coaches? But they probably don't even spare them a thought too much.
No, do you know what? I saw the other day when the semi-final was on, the women's semi-final this weekend. The football had been on at St Helens before.
Yeah.
They had to change the post, change the pitch, remark it, all for an afternoon fixture. So yeah, there's a lot goes into it.
Well, I mean that's in that professional game. So we need this ground grassroots and all that. So everyone's got that ground person, you know what I mean, that just does an epic job. It's a great award to be nominated for.
It's one of those
unsung heroes.
It's an unsung hero. Every club, every amateur club has somebody that looks after the pitches, don't they?
Yeah, so Jason, good luck, and good luck to Colin Baker, Nathan Parker, Phil Abbott and Rob Ashton, plus everyone else that's been nominated for a community volunteer award.
There's too many to name them all, but I think a few that we've picked have all sort of featured on this show.
Okay, back to our regular show then, on to Tackle 4, and we're going international now, Karl.
We're not just going international, it's also local news. This is massive. It's breaking news. It's something that's come out in the press in Perpignan just today. So there's been talks ongoing between the French Federation and the RFL, and there's potentially in 2028 a super exciting season could go ahead where we could have 4 French clubs enter into the championship to essentially make some sort of European division.
This is so exciting for me because when you look at the signals that were coming out of France at the start of the season, so for example, they pulled out of the World Cup, didn't they? Catalan was told you're going to have to sort out your own travel costs now. They're talking about Sky Sports talking about pulling the central funding from Catalans. You know what I mean? So just
I think that's more members clubs. Because Sky Sports isn't broadcast in France, and therefore, but Catalan currently get.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it was all negative signals, wasn't it? It was like French Rugby League was kind of like really struggling to hear this now.
You only have to look at the international game that was played in Toulouse between England and France.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
I mean, that was as bad as a France Rugby League stories you could get. Nobody turned up to watch it. It was a curtain raiser for a Featherstone match. It was. Everything about it was disaster, wasn't it? But yeah, you're right. This is it's exciting. I'll go into a bit of detail about it. So they're looking at entering 4 French clubs into the championship. By the way, let's just say at this moment in time, these are just talks that are ongoing. Nothing's been rubber stamped yet. French divisions have just currently gone under a bit of rebranding. So if you look at the French Rugby League, the new brand is actually really smart. It used to be called Elite 1 and Elite 2. It's now called the Super 13. So the branding's going in the right direction, and they're switching from the winter to the summer, I believe, in February 2026.
Right.
So it's going to go from February to September, which then lines it up with the English Championship and the English Super League. And what they're looking to do to sort of build into it in 2026, the first idea that's come about is the French champions to play the Championship champions in sort of like in a European Champions fixture or whatever they come up with a name. But they're also doing the same for League One. So the tier below the French 13, whatever that's called, having the champions against the League One champions. A lot of the French teams have got wheelchair clubs connected to them. So they're looking at doing the same for the wheelchair and the same for the women's, and having all 4 games in one weekend, just a mega English-French battle. Yeah.
Well, it will be a battle. I mean, I remember, one of our guests, Troy Perkins, that played at Catalan and a couple of other French teams, and he was saying it was brutal out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, the dark arts, it's truly dark.
I think French Rugby League at that sort of level is a bit more Sunday League football style, should I say. So, yeah.
Gladiatorial.
Yeah, it could be brain telling bells the shit out of each other, I think is what you could say. But what are your thoughts on it? For me, this is just a good news rugby league story, and I just hope they run with something like this.
Yeah, I think we know that rugby league is a pyramid scheme, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And you've got like the grassroots at the bottom, working up through the leagues, championships, etc., to Super League, then international. This sounds to me like it's exciting for grassroots and a solid base for the elite level. You know, it's just in that middle there where we can generate lots of excitement, lots of interest, and get a real buzz going. You know, on both sides of the channel. So this definitely sounds like it's a great thing.
And surely an international competition like this is much more likely to bring in sponsorship. You've got to think that.
You can see direction here, can't you?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't... Be careful what I say here.
Why?
There's already a few places I can't visit in the country.
Right, okay.
But you know, when you try to market something that's like, Featherstone, Wakefield, Batley, you know, all playing each other. It's small, the small towns essentially, aren't there? I think that's quite hard to bring a international sponsor.
Well, put it this way. Let me just throw some names at you. You tell me which one strikes a bit of emotion in your heart, right? Okay, so Wakefield, Dewsbury, Batley, Marseille.
Yeah, exactly, Marseille.
Yeah, so, and you know, just to paint a point, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And who knows what teams are going to come in? I do hope, like, if I could just throw my whatever into the mix, please, let's have French teams that is incredibly close to an airport, you know, because Perpignan, as beautiful it is,
right,
as incredible as it is, it's hard to get to sometimes.
So as it currently stands, the French division, it's played predominantly in the south of France. So between Perpignan and Toulouse is where predominantly most of the French teams are. They're expanding, I think, to 11 teams this year.
Yeah.
And they're looking at adding a further team next year, but they're looking Bordeaux, Lyon, I think, that side of the country. So you might get your wish.
Right, okay. Well, they're dead exciting. And if that weekend happens, Carl, we've got to go. How is your French, by the way?
I failed one. I failed one GCSE.
Right.
French was the one I failed.
I was terrible at
absolutely
French.
Awful, mate. I was terrible.
Yeah. So when I went through GCSEs, like, you had to do a language, and I was shocking at French. They made me do German. I was even worse at that. It was absolutely. It was terrible, really. Anyway, right. Let's move on then. So from there, a bit of negative news, really, and a bit of sad news from the capital.
Yeah, so from one expansion story to the complete opposite, I suppose. David Hughes has pulled out. He's essentially pulled his funding from London Broncos. He's looking to bring new investors into the club. He's kind of had enough, I suppose, is the way of putting it. 27 years he's been involved with London Broncos. 20 of those years they spent in Super League. This obviously is come on the back of what has happened with IMG. London Broncos, he can't see a way to continue funding this club after next year, when sadly they're going to drop into the Championship.
Yeah, it's incredibly sad. We've had lots of dealings with London Broncos, you know, different teams within that club this year, and every one of them has been positive, from the from the women's to the
Super League club.
The Super League club. Everybody, it's a real well-run organisation. In fact, our best food all season has been at the London Broncos. We had this immense panini down there. Not that you can judge, you know,
club on a panini.
But it is incredibly sad. But obviously, the way I look at it is like, when you buy a house, you don't buy it on where the house is right now. You buy it on what you can turn it into in the future. And right now, he must feel like the rug's been dragged from under his feet, and he's got nowhere to go. You know, his ceiling is the Championship now, and maybe that's not enough, you know.
Well, when you're pumping an awful lot of money into a club like David Hughes does, it's, you know, no secret he puts an awful lot of money into that club. Yeah, and he's got no route to Super League. That's essentially how he sees it from now on. Yeah, I mean, this is the first big casualty of IMG, I suppose, and there's a lot of unrest at the minute with what's going on with IMG and the grid, and I think they overlooked London. I think they really overlooked London, because when all the IMG gradings started to come together, London were a Championship club at that point, and obviously they were looking to improve all the clubs. And then it was a surprise that London got themselves into Super League last year with that win over Toulouse that I don't think anybody really expected. So once they were in Super League, then it painted a completely different picture. Like you say, if they drop out, which they're likely to drop out this year, once the points are given out, you can't really see a path back into Super League for London. But strangely enough as well, IMG sort of said at the start when there was a big emphasis on rugby league in London, that like they knew they needed a strong club in Catalan. They knew they needed a strong club in London, but yet they haven't done anything to keep them in, and they've essentially built a system where we probably won't see London in there again. And I don't want to start preempting things, but if they don't find an investor for London, we may never see London Broncos again.
It's dire, and it's a shame because London have done so much well this year. You look at their social media, which is a grading factor for IMG. You look at the facility. I thought the stadium was brilliant.
It's bigger than that, Craig. I think it's way bigger than that. I think the biggest loss of London is the number of southern players that have been given an opportunity to play rugby league at the top level that we may lose now, because they're not going to have that carrot dangled in front of them for Super League. And they had to pull the academy last year because it just didn't fit in with this new Super League model. You don't get any points for having an academy, and it's just incredibly sad that we could now lose an entire generation of southern players. Unless these northern sides come looking for them, they may never get an opportunity now. Yeah. And it's just a complete... Yeah, it's just where grading doesn't work.
Good luck to David Hughes. We fully understand. You know what I mean? God, it must be tough. And he's obviously just feels like his dream's been burst a little bit there. So, right, moving on. Tackle 6. I wanted to float this idea. So I saw a little story. This is rugby union based, but however, I can see the relevance to rugby league.
How dare you say that on this show?
Yeah. Right, and it's the idea in New Zealand. Right, there's a concept of rugby that's gaining momentum, and that is under 85 kilos rugby.
Yeah.
Right. So what is your thoughts on this, Karl?
Well, under 85 kilos. First thing I think is I'm in.
Right.
I've got a place in the team for me.
Right.
You. Just on the outskirts.
I thought, what are you trying to say? Work to do.
You're going to need a big pre-season, mate. That's what I'm saying. No, what do I think about it? I don't know what I think about it, to be honest with you. It's when you mentioned it to me earlier, it's the first time I've really ever heard of anything like this that exists. So
yeah, me too. Let me tell you a little bit more about how it's run. Right, so it's run in. So there's clubs from around New Zealand. All the players are under 85 kilos on game day. Right, they can't just register at the start of the year and then get on the pies. And the way they run it is they've done like a knockout competition, sudden death knockout competition. They weigh all the players in the morning. If you're under 85, you're in. If you're over 85, you're out. Right. So so what that means is you get players.
People taking the boxer shorts off to make sure they're
checking the watch off. But
weighing at the right weight.
You get players that like normally cut around at like 88, 89, maybe 90 kilos throughout the week, and then the weekend they've got to cut weight, make weight in the sauna, bin bag on, trying to lose weight to weigh in on the the morning before the tournament, and then refeed after that before they play. So I just thought it was a real interesting concept because let's face it, rugby especially the elite levels. We were at Wigan last week, and the players just tower over the average person, and they're just massive.
Well, a rugby league has got that thing now where most players are actually the same size, aren't they?
They're similar.
Once upon a time, you could kind of like tell somebody's position by the body shape. I don't think you really can anymore. Well, you can always spot your halfbacks.
Yeah.
And your hookers probably usually got a piece of tape round his head.
The big flat nose.
Yeah. Other than that, most of the players are the same sort of size, aren't they, these days?
Well, yeah.
And that's how the sport's going.
However, remember when we was at Wigan, Bevan French and Jaifield walked across, right? They look like fit average adults, right? Yeah. But then you had Liam Byrne who come across. Like, I dare anyone to look in Liam Byrne's eyes and not shit their pants, right? He's just a beast.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Cade Ellis was there at the same time.
Thompson.
Yeah, Luke Thompson. Sean O'Loughlin was with them, and then and you're just like, fucking hell, he's in the size of these, these players. So the fact that there's an opportunity there for smaller players to have a go. I mean, imagine Rob Burry in this league. Like, he'd just tear it up, wouldn't he?
You say that, but his advantage would have been narrowed because
Neutralised.
because the players are surely going to be a lot smaller because the way I don't. What's the reason for it?
The reason is just to get some of the smaller players involved in rugby.
Right. Okay. So that's a positive. I understand it now. So yeah. So what you're saying is the people who may not play rugby because they're a little bit frightened that everybody's towering monsters. But if
I'll go as far as to say not necessarily frightened, unable to compete.
Yeah, okay.
You're like unable to compete.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a positive move, isn't it? I think the one thing I would say, so if Williams is looking at implementing this into the UK, which you're on Dragon's Den and you're bringing this to the table, and would it work in the UK at the minute? I'm not so sure it would. It may be in the heartlands where there's a larger pool of players, but you certainly couldn't bring something like this to sort of like the Midlands or the southern areas, because we don't have that, a huge player pool. So if you're putting any sort of barrier up, I don't think.
Well, if you're separating a team, now on size, you're diluting your player pool, aren't you?
Yeah.
Whereas like up north, where there's an abundance of players, it may well work. But I tell you somewhere where it would work, in my opinion, is just my opinion. Obviously, we all know that counts for fuck all, really. Is university rugby.
Yes.
Because like we went to a couple of university games, and some of them players are slight. You know what I mean? They're well within that criteria. And they run hard, they run fast, they're skillful, and I think they'd be an absolute handful, as an under 85 team.
Do you know what it would do? I think it'd be quite a spectacle to watch, because it'd be like sevens, where you've got a lot of, certainly a lot more faster players playing, but you still have 13-a-side rugby. So the scrums would be interesting.
Right.
It'd be the shortest pack you'd ever see.
Yeah, the scrums would be interesting, but
they're just for show anyway in rugby league now.
But what like the biff? You know what I mean? Like the idea of like Sam Lasoni flying into and colliding with Patrick Mago, like that would be missing. And for some, that's one of the most attractive parts of the game as a fan.
Yeah, but some of the hardest hitters, angriest men I've ever seen on a rugby pitch, they're the smaller guys.
Yeah, you're right. Well, but I mean, Bevan French smashes well above his weight.
Oh yeah.
Thomas Luluai. All right. He's a unit. He's a unit, but he used to cut people in half. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what he weighs. He's got to be like 85. They've got to be 90 kilo. At least.
I think Luluai would be just out of that bracket that you're talking about. But yeah, you got a really good point there.
Okay, right, so that's that. What do you think? Under 85 kilo rugby, what's your thoughts? Good, bad, indifferent, pros and cons? Join the conversation down below. Karl, any last words?
Check out our predictions episode for the Super League. Obviously, it's playoff weekend. We've done predictions for the two games in the playoffs this weekend. It's the exciting part of the season. So yeah, check that out. That drops it drops the day before this video, so go find it on the YouTube video.
If you haven't subscribed, liked, commented yet, please do that. We'll wait. Thank you. Right, okay, see you in the next show.